I'm interested in applying the integral concepts in a professional way to families
Yeah.
and child development and parenting.
Yeah.
It seems to me that there's a whole lot of information and ways of understanding how to cultivate that group called family and as kids. And I'm interested in some work that's been done so far and what your thoughts on that would be.
Oh, work done so far. Do you have any in particular in mind, or just what I think about is being done about raising kids and parenting?
No, I don't have anything in mind. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's kind of in. It seems like a natural thing that should be happening.
Have you done any attempts yourself?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Do you own a child?
In my own child.
Really? Excellent. And a dog, I hope? Well, every psychologist should have a child and a dog.
My son has the dog.
Oh, excellent. Well, okay.
They shared.
So the experiment is how well your son turned out. I'm taking it.
Yeah.
How do you do?
Wouldn't trade him for anybody in the world.
Excellent.
As a matter of fact, he and my daughter are talking about, shouldn't we be doing something together to help families raise kids in a more enlightened way?
Yeah.
So we may do that together.
Yeah. It's a great topic. It's also the hardest topic in a sense, because everything hinges on that, doesn't it? I mean, education and child rearing in general, those two things, right? Because, I mean, whatever theory you have about politics or how a society should be run, it gets right down to how the kids are raised, isn't it? And that's what's so extraordinary. Now, part of the problem is that if some of these components of human beings, in quadrants, levels, lines, states, and so on, if those are there, and we have every reason to believe that they are, then whether parents know about them or not, they're there. So there's a territory that, now most parents do fantastically anyway, because there's a very strong bond and you can intuit most of these, and they are exactly in their heart. And so they're realities that you can intuit. You don't have to know AQUIL in order to raise a child, obviously. But if those territories are there, then having a more accurate map can help. And particularly in both education and child rearing, what I find is that it's a miniature version of what you find elsewhere, whether it's in academia or whatnot, which is that it's what they don't teach that kills you. In other words, if you don't know that all these other capacities and potentials are present in a child, then you're not going to start trying to bring them out and resonate with them. Now, the child's going to be broadcasting them, and you might sort of kind of intuitively feel it's there. But if you don't actually know it's there, then you can't work in a full way as you could if you had this kind of better understanding. And so for us, in a sense, what it amounts to is what engineers have a wonderful kind of term, which is reverse engineering. In other words, you sort of find out a desired result, and then you reverse engineer the thing that ought to be able to do that. So we sort of started by looking at both at all types of developmental models, looking at studies done with children, looking at studies done with adults, doing cross-cultural studies in terms of all the different kinds of capacities that men and women have, and then put these all on the table, and which it looked like a big plate of spaghetti. And then we sort of started to say, what commonality are there? What can you actually see that's common? And that's where the AQUIL model came from. And so quadrants, levels, lines, states, and types can sound academic, but they represent very real realities in you and in children. So the whole educational process, in a sense, is starting with that understanding, and then what can we do to best facilitate young children stepping into that potential? And that's never really been done before. I mean, every age tries to do it. But again, we've never had a point where there was a type of consciousness that, I use spiral dynamics as an example, and preface it by saying this. If you're blue, or if you're a parent or an educator or teacher or a theorist writing about education or child rearing, and you're blue, or if you're orange, or if you're green, then you can't help it. You're going to apply your values to what your kids should be doing. So if you're a teacher and you're blue, well, any of you who went to Catholic school knows what that means. And so if your parents are orange, or the teacher is orange, or whatever, then they're already like playing Mozart music to you while you're in the womb in order to get you hitting the ground running to be as much a good, corporate takeover artist as you possibly can be by the time you're 3 years old. If the parents are green or the teachers are green, then all of a sudden everybody gets a gold star, none of this nasty kind of grading and ranking and silliness and so on. And these are all well-intentioned, and they're all incredibly fragmented and unintentionally damaging. Yeah. Simply because it's taking one size and cramming everybody into that. And it really is so well-intentioned. I know very, very few where it isn't. But the net result is that, as you know, I mean, everybody here was raised by first-tier institutions. And I mean, look at it, we're just all candidates for therapy. Okay, that's a joke. But we all know that there were certain aspects of our being that weren't resonated with as much as it could have been if teachers or educators or even parents knew where to look. And so that's another pioneering thing that's happening right now, is you actually can have an integral view of what child rearing and education can be. Now we have to be careful, because green is sort of halfway to integral. So it was a well-intentioned attempt to be holistic and inclusive. And actually most holistic educational people call themselves that, holistic, and most of them are green, healthy green, but nonetheless. No quite integral cigar there. But so the actual approaches to integral education are very, very new. And we hope, of course, that those are going to have a great impact, but they're again in their infancy. So anybody interested in that, again, we've got the website going up, and integral education will be part of it. So keep an eye on that. And we're also, we're experimenting. We want to have the equivalent of what would be called continuing education in a lot of universities, which for a lot of universities, continuing education means education that we don't want anything to do with. And so we're going to put it over here, and but for us, continuing education is one of the real hearts of how you take this thing and let it continue to grow. So it's very important for us. And continuing education would indeed include things like parenting, relationships, family, career choice, and so on. So I think it's fascinating. And yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots there.
Yeah. Well, the standard joke is if we do nothing else, we can, an integral approach to child rearing, unlike first-year approaches, can mess a child up in all quadrants, all levels, all lines. And there is there is a whole brand of therapy waiting to be born to deal with the absolute nightmares that will come in from that. So we hope to pioneer that as well.
Great market.
That's right.